Emma had always dreamed of a life beyond the quiet town of Maplewood, but when a mysterious coin and an even more puzzling letter arrived, her world was suddenly turned upside down. As the days unfolded, a stranger named Daniel appeared, offering her an invitation to a life full of untold possibilities. With each new twist, Emma found herself standing at the crossroads of an extraordinary adventure and a choice that could change everything. But the deeper she ventured into this unknown world, the more she realized some wishes come true in ways you could never expect, and some choices come with a price. In the quiet town of Maplewood, nestled among sprawling forests and gently rolling hills, lived Emma, an ordinary woman leading an unremarkable life. Her small, modest house stood on a street lined with oak trees, each corner of the town familiar to her, like the lines on her palm. Emma worked as a waitress at the local diner, where she spent her days serving coffee to regulars, chatting with the older patrons, and taking orders from hurried businessmen. There was a sense of routine that comforted her. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling that her life was meant for something more. Emma had always been a dreamer. From a young age, she imagined herself traveling the world, experiencing the excitement of new places, meeting new people, and escaping the quiet, predictable life she had come to know. But as time passed, those dreams seemed to fade into the background, buried beneath the responsibilities of adulthood. She never truly believed that anything beyond the confines of Maplewood would ever be hers. Life, she thought, had already been decided for her. Her friends often joked about her wishful thinking. "You've got big dreams, Em." They'd say, "But what's the point of wishing for a different life when you've already got everything you need here?" Emma would laugh it off, but inside a quiet longing persisted. One evening after another long shift, Emma decided to take a walk by the old fountain at the center of town. It was a peaceful place, the water rippling softly as the lights from nearby street lamps flickered against the night sky. She often came here when she needed to clear her head, to think about the things she wished for but could never have. As she approached the fountain, something unusual caught her eye. There, at the base of the stone structure, partially buried in the dirt, was a small, round object. Emma bent down to examine it, her heart skipping a beat as she uncovered what appeared to be an old coin. The metal was tarnished with age, its engravings faint, but there was a symbol etched into the center that Emma couldn't quite make out. It wasn't a design she recognized, and it seemed out of place in the town she knew so well. Curious, she pocketed the coin, telling herself she would figure out what it meant later. The evening was too quiet, too still, to ignore a feeling that had settled deep in her chest. As she walked home, she held the coin tightly, almost as though it was a secret she couldn't tell anyone. She whispered to the night sky, almost on impulse, "I wish for something more. I want to experience life in ways I never have. Please show me what's out there." It wasn't much of a wish, just a soft, desperate escape to escape the life she had built. But something about the coin made her believe that it might just come true. That night, as Emma lay in bed, unable to sleep, she kept thinking about the coin and the wish she had made. Had she been foolish to hope for something more? Was there a chance that her wish could truly be fulfilled? She didn't have an answer. What she didn't know was that the very next morning, her life would take a turn she never saw coming. The following day, when Emma arrived at the diner, she found an envelope waiting for her. There was no return address, only her name written in elegant script on the front. She frowned, unsure of what to make of it. She had never received a letter like this before. Inside was a single piece of paper with one sentence written on it: "You are about to experience the extraordinary." Emma stared at the words, her heart racing. Was this some kind of prank? How could someone know about her wishes? She tried to dismiss it, telling herself that it was probably just some marketing stunt or a joke. But a strange feeling lingered, gnawing at her curiosity. Could this be the beginning of something she had longed for? That night she couldn't sleep again, and for the first time in years, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for her dream to come true. The days that followed felt surreal. Emma couldn't shake the thought of the letter, and the coin she had found seemed to pulse with a mysterious energy. Every time she held it, she felt a connection to something greater, something beyond the ordinary world she knew. Her life in Maplewood seemed so distant now, like a place she had outgrown. Yet, she didn't know how to begin this new chapter that had appeared before her. Then one morning Emma's world was shaken again. She was working her usual shift at the diner when a man walked in. He was tall, dressed in a dark, tailored suit, and his presence immediately drew her attention. There was something about him, something striking, almost unnerving. He walked up to the counter, his eyes meeting Emma's with an intensity that made her feel like he could see right through her. "I'm looking for Emma," he said, his voice smooth and confident. Emma blinked, taken aback. "That's me," she said, her voice unsteady. The man nodded as though he had been expecting her answer. "I have something for you," he said, handing her a small, ornate box. "This is for you. You need to come with me." Emma's heart raced. She had never seen this man before, and his sudden appearance was enough to make her question everything she had believed about her quiet life. Who was he? What did he want from her? Despite her fear, a sense of inevitability washed over her. She had wished for something more, for adventure, and here it was, standing before her. With trembling hands, she took the box and followed him out of the diner, her mind racing with questions. The man led her to a sleek black car parked outside. Without saying another word, he opened the door for her, and Emma stepped inside. The car sped through the streets of Maplewood, the scenery becoming more unfamiliar with each passing mile. She had no idea where they were going, but she knew that there was no turning back now. As they drove deeper into the countryside, the car finally slowed to a stop in front of a large, imposing mansion. The building was old, with ivy crawling up its stone walls and towering windows that seemed to gaze down at her. There was a certain air of mystery to the place, as though it had been waiting for her arrival for centuries. "Welcome," the man said, his voice calm and unbothered. "This is where your journey begins." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She didn't know what was happening, but the weight of the moment settled on her shoulders. This wasn't just a coincidence. This was something far greater than anything she could have imagined. Inside the mansion, the walls were lined with portraits of people she didn't recognize, their eyes seeming to follow her as she walked past. The man led her into a small, dimly lit room, where an elderly woman sat behind a large desk. She looked at Emma with eyes that seemed ancient, as though she had seen the world change in ways Emma couldn't even begin to comprehend. The woman smiled and gestured for Emma to sit. "You've been chosen," she said, her voice soft but firm. "You've made a wish, and now it's time to see it come true." Emma was about to ask what that meant when the man handed her a small pouch. "Inside this," he said, "is the key to unlocking your future." With hands that trembled with anticipation, Emma opened the pouch. Inside was a smooth, shimmering stone, unlike anything she had ever seen. It seemed to glow with an inner light, as though it held some kind of power within it. "This stone," the woman explained, "is not just a token. It is the manifestation of your deepest desire. But be warned, Emma. Wishes are powerful. They come with consequences." The weight of her choice pressed heavily on Emma's heart. Was she ready for what this would bring? She wasn't sure. But there was no turning back now. She clutched the stone tightly, unsure of what would happen next. The moment Emma touched the stone, she felt an overwhelming surge of energy shoot through her body. Her surroundings seemed to blur, and for a brief moment she was weightless, floating through space. She closed her eyes, bracing herself for whatever was coming next. When she opened them again, the world had changed. Instead of the dimly lit room, Emma found herself standing on the edge of a vast city. Towering skyscrapers rose before her, their glass windows gleaming under the bright sun. The streets were packed with people, all rushing in different directions, each person lost in their own world. Emma's head spun as she tried to take in the overwhelming sight. The man who had brought her here appeared beside her, his expression unreadable. "This is the world you asked for," he said, his voice calm. Emma's heart raced as she looked around. This was everything she had ever dreamed of, a bustling city, full of opportunity and excitement. She was overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of it all. But as she stood there, taking in the sights and sounds, a strange unease settled in her chest. "This is everything you wanted, right?" the man asked, his tone almost teasing. "This is your chance to live a life beyond the small town you've always known." Emma nodded, but deep down she wasn't sure. The excitement was there, yes, but so was the fear. This world was far more complicated than anything she had ever imagined. She was just one small person in a sea of strangers. How could she ever make her mark here? Over the next few hours, the man guided Emma through the city. She saw the wealth and luxury that others took for granted, and she also saw the poverty and despair that lived just beneath the surface. She encountered people who seemed to know her, strangers who spoke of her wishes and desires, as though they had always known them. But with each step, Emma began to realize something. The life she had dreamed of wasn't the one she had imagined. This city, this world was filled with opportunities, yes, but it was also filled with struggles, with challenges she wasn't prepared for. She looked at the man beside her. "I don't know if this is what I want anymore," she admitted, her voice shaking. "I thought I was ready for this life, but now I'm not so sure." The man smiled. "That's the first lesson you've learned. Wishes aren't always what they seem. The world can be everything you want, but it can also be far more than you can handle." Back in the mansion, Emma felt disoriented, as though she had just woken from a dream. The man was still beside her, his presence calm, but his gaze intense. Emma knew she had made a choice that had led her to this point, but she wasn't sure what it meant. Was she truly ready to live the life she had always dreamed of? "The test isn't over," the man said, his voice soft. "You've seen what your wish can bring. Now, it's time to see if you're strong enough to handle it." Emma wasn't sure what he meant, but the words echoed in her mind as the world around her seemed to shift once again. This time she found herself standing in a darkened alley, far from the bustling city. The streets were empty, the air thick with tension. Emma could feel the weight of loneliness pressing down on her. "This is part of your journey," the man said. "The world you wish for isn't just about the highs, it's about the lows, too. The struggles you face, the choices you make will shape who you become." Emma stood there, uncertain. She had wished for more, but now that she was here, she felt overwhelmed by the challenges she faced. Could she truly handle everything this new life had to offer? The last test had left Emma questioning everything she thought she knew. Her wish had come true in ways she had never expected, and now she had to decide what came next. The man stood beside her, waiting for her response. "What do you want, Emma?" he asked. "Do you want this life with all its complications and challenges? Or do you want to return to the life you once had?" Emma looked around her, feeling the weight of the decision on her shoulders. She thought about the life she had left behind, the small town she had called home. It had been simple, yes, but it had also been filled with love and connection, things she had never fully appreciated until now. "I've seen the world," Emma said, her voice steady, "and I've seen the challenges it holds. But I don't know if I'm ready for this life. I'm not sure I want everything it has to offer." The man nodded. "That's the choice everyone must make. Wishes come true, but they come with responsibility. It's up to you to decide what you truly want." With a deep breath, Emma made her decision. She had found something far more important than the world she had dreamed of. She had found herself. And that, she realized, was the most extraordinary wish of all.